Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's WNR435. It's NXT Update, and I am not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by our resident NXT expert. It's Monty. How you doing, man?
Happy to be back. Happy to be back for another NXT update. It's been a while. A lot has happened, but I'm excited to do this again. I don't know what it is about these shows, but here we are again, James, having a mountain load of not only wrestling but news.
Anytime a massive news story happens now in wrestling, people will say, "Oh, well, Monty and James in a pod at the weekend," because it almost seems certain. And honestly, I mean, we've been doing this together for what, like 2 years, maybe 2.5. Say we have people tell me, and I did that with Dan for 5 years, and it was quite boring. In a way, like the wrestling was
I
there,
know what you mean.
but like I think the biggest news story is like, oh, here's the Mixed Match Challenge, here's the CWC, here's the Mae Young Classic. Oh look, AEW has started, and then for some reason. It's just
I don't get it either, man.
We've seen the end.
You connect and now just Punk comes back. We can keep going forever. Just the amount of just insane stuff that's happened just since we've been doing this. So I don't know what it is. We're like a lethal combination. Maybe wrestling fans should be thanking us. I don't know, because a lot of it is negative, but we have some good things too that's happened since we've been here. But
we've had hundreds of wrestlers be released on our watch. We've had the Black and Gold brand end. 205 Live died. There's lots of things that have kind of happened. And like I said, a massive news week regarding NXT UK. But we have our regular update. And, of course, NXT Heatwave. But we start on the latest on the WWE Network, which is the Broken Skull Sessions with Sami Zayn, of course, with Stone Cold. And with this, I kind of sit back, relax, enjoy, and just watch, because there's something about Stone Cold. And I find myself even making notes praising Stone Cold more than the actual guests. Just because even the way he turns a bit of paper. I don't know if anybody ever noticed how he does that. He just picks it up and just moves it while still talking. But it is Sami Zayn, and of course, like we talk about, 20-year vet, 38 years old he was. But luckily, Austin likes the Jackass match at WrestleMania, and Sami here. It's weird how some wrestlers think, because he says, if you don't like it, you're stupid. And that's the end of the argument. You can't. What can you do about that?
Oh, he was ready to defend this match too, by the way. Like any state like label, like you can call it a comedy match or any of that. Like, no, this was wrestling at its finest. And he made some really good points too. Like, even made me look at the match a little bit differently from some of the points he made, especially when they started to go over the film.
Well, the thing I love about it is, talk about the beats of the match. Maybe something people realise and kind of digging in deep to it and seeing the kind of what they do. Sami talked about growing up in Canada. Steve McFly was his first name. And Austin was great when Sami said to him, I came up on a day, and Austin's like, yeah, no shit. It's like Steve McFly would not help. And Zayn, I mean, talk about keeping the gimmick, will not admit to being El Generico.
Yes, never. Guy. He's that guy. I love it. He's consistent with it. I love it. Like, keep those personas separate. He never, like, Austin continued to try to talk to him about wrestling with a mask on. And you can tell he was trying to find a way to answer it without trying to fully say that he was the one. Eventually he had to, talk about facial expressions with the mask and with it off. But yeah, man, I love it. El Generico, the many years under that mask, it was really when he first came on my radar. I didn't know he was going to be Sami Zayn or what he ended up becoming, and how important he was. But El Generico is always a good time, and he will never admit. Like, it's been like that for a long time with Sami.
But like you said, though, talk about the facial expressions and in the art of body expression, which is different to kind of the facials and what Sammy kind of had to learn. And like I said, El Generico first came onto my kind of cloth scene, so to speak, against Kevin Steen, and we saw the picture of them. I mean, their physiques, screaming WWE superstar, and it's crazy to think that those two guys would make it,
I agree 100%. Like Austin and Sami Zayn had a laugh looking at them and thinking about just like how far they've come, because that's another thing you can look at in that shot. And also, like we mentioned, we know how WWE was changing and all that. It shows how much experience, because like you mentioned, they had Sammy got into it on the show. He traveled all around the world to wrestle anywhere he could, anytime he could. So him and Kevin Owens from day one had, and I love this. He mentioned that they had similar, instead of like mentioning WWE as a dream, it was always a goal for him and Kevin. So I love that, because it really is. It can be as simple as that. A dream is something that usually is something we want, or something that is usually never comes true in a lot of cases. But a goal, you can always work to achieve that. So I just love that little insight into their thought process, and just how much common bond over wrestling has kept them together over these years too. So it was great though. It's a great shout out to look at that photo and see where they were versus the two great characters they've become, especially off that great WrestleMania.
Yeah, without a doubt, like I said, you see the connection kind of getting on with each other right from that moment. And like I said, having it there and ready to go. And it just kind of seemed to, like, the way they kind of stuck together throughout the whole career, and we're going to get onto that as well. But another interesting thing was they're talking how to make it. Well, you've got to go to Mexico, you've got to go to Japan, you've got to kind of go to Europe. It's, ECW, WCW, and then eventually WWE, which is kind of always how I thought a proper wrestler, gets into the business as well, And he talks about, with WWE not even being on his radar, but getting a call from Jamie Noble about some cruiserweight thing in 2006. And then again in 2011, another cruiserweight thing. But again, the head of talent, or who was there at NXT at the time, Canyon Ceman, has got probably the greatest name in professional wrestling. It's like, excuse me, he was Ceman's first signing, and then he talks about his FCW tryout, about wanting to go and then basically smash it, talking about having Regal as a mentor with Joey Mercury as well, how Triple H was there, Terry Taylor was his wrestling dad.
Taylor.
What I found interesting is, because Austin was saying, you were in NXT then, and he was saying, no, we kind of made the change, because it was like
we made it.
Yeah, rigid and developmental, and then kind of the matches with Cesaro blossomed into what we know.
It's 100% the truth too. Like, if you were watching at the time, and I remember those, just when NXT was just basically developmental. It evolved from the reality show days into just like he mentioned, very very structured. A certain type of style was seen, even from specifically, I think a lot of people think about how Paige and Emma changed the game in the women's division. I think you can say the same when it comes to what Cesaro and Sammy was able to do in their match in NXT, which kind of, like he even mentioned, opened the floodgates for everyone to be creative in the ring. I think Paige and Emma's, their match was groundbreaking for women to be able to do that. And I think Sammy is right on the money. Him and Cesaro definitely changed the game with that, because he's right. You can go back to before that match and see what NXT was, and then you look at it after it, it was a whole new world. And I was someone who at the time, and not even just then, I've been, when the WWE Network first came out and NXT was one of those, regular programming that they were pushing, I was one of the people who would go back, because they have the whole, and they probably still do have the entire history of NXT on there. And I went back because I was a mark for Bo Dallas. I tell you that all the time, James. I like Bo Dallas. And Bo Dallas' best run was usually like in that era around the time when Sammy and Cesaro had that match. I mean, he may have been the champion or was just about to lose the championship that night to Neville, I think. I think that's around the same time, but I could be missing him. The point is that changed the game, and he was right on the money. I loved him correcting Austin there because like you said, he didn't want to toot his own horn. But I don't know if Sammy and Cesaro get enough credit for kind of setting the stage for what Gargano and Ciampa and what other people were ready to do. He even mentioned that they kind of build on top of what they had already created.
Yeah, and I like the fact they mentioned Cesaro, and we're going to see him mention Neville, and it's like you said, it's really weird talking about because the UK didn't get the network until 2015, and NXT was kind of one of the main.
Yeah.
I started the podcast, and it was thanks to like Cesaro and Zayn and the Owens kind of feud that just started.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the introduction of Balor, which was then NXT Update, or Joe Watch as it was, started beginning. We wouldn't be reviewing it today if it wasn't, like you said, for these incredible matches.
Right.
We get footage of promo class and Sammy finding his voice. How good looking! I think even Austin mentioned it. Like Zayn looked like a boy band. Just like...
Yeah. People forget, man. He looks so different now because he's so wild and bushy now. But yes, he actually did. Give it a little haircut, trim the beard. He's a good-looking kid under there. I think that's what Austin was saying. Good-looking kid.
But again, Zayn kind of believing in his character and saying, I don't want to be kind of good-looking. I try and make myself ugly, like growing my beard and my hair.
Yeah.
Because, you're meant to kind of be this heel. And he talks about the promo he did with Neville, called Slapping Neville. He couldn't win the big one. This was, again,
yes.
We talk about the love of the storyline. Zayn could never win the big one. Neville
Mm-hmm.
there. And Undertaker was backstage and watching Zayn and was praising him, and saying these guys are money. I don't know if it was that one where
they sold some effing tickets.
Yeah, sold some fucking tickets. But no
that
one
was a good
saw
story.
him. But Kevin Owens was the only one. And then Taker went, hey guys, they sold some tickets. And then everybody obviously popped. And then again, the beauty of NXT storytelling, and this is kind of how great it was back in the day. As soon as Zayn won the big one, beat Neville for the title, Kevin Owens, who had debuted that night, his best friend, turned to them, and then that kind of started that whole feud as well,
Right.
They kind of touch it on NXT, but come back to it later on. We talk about his debut on Raw. He talks about Bret Hart being the greatest wrestler of all time, and obviously, being a Canadian, and announcing he got injured, and seeing him injured on the entrance as he goes up the stairs and his shoulder. I mean, it's one of these things. It's just freak accident, and it could have really affected him. But to go in there with Cena and pull out that match was just brilliant.
Yeah, man, I never forget that moment. Again, this is one of those broken skull challenges it's like the same way I love some of the older heads being on there with Austin because of the great stories. I love seeing some people on the current roster, especially someone like Sammy, who we've all been on a journey with for a while now, good 8 years. And if you've been watching since he started, even longer than that. So, and I remember that match against Cena and just the pop he got and just how special that moment was as a viewer. So to hear what he had to go through and how he, fought through that to give himself and everyone, I think, who watched a special moment, especially in Canada, it was just awesome. It was awesome. I'll never forget that night because it was a genuine shock not only to see him there, but like again, it's just the energy. It's just like the Dolph Ziggler cash, and we talk about it all the time. Pop. It's just one of the greatest pops ever, and I think that might be one of those forgotten, nights where it was just they were rocking.
Well, without doubt, and like I said, looking back at Zayn's career, you realise just kind of how many bangers he's actually had versus Nakamura at TakeOver, where Zayn went back down to NXT and then kind of did the honours to even talk about. I mean, Nakamura at that point in time is just, like we said, it was incredible. And then the match against Owens at Battleground 2016, which you could tell how proud kind of Sami Zayn was of that moment. But what I find weird is kind of what happened since then. When you think about, he was Nakamura's manager for a little bit, and you completely forget about it now. Then of course the conspiracy where it kind of picked up with the documentary that never got released that he did actually want to be released. And Sammy always talks about not wanting to be world champion, doing other jobs on the card. And, he's not going to be fighting Brock or Reigns. But as Austin says to him, he's a 5-tool player. It's not about size sometimes. You can work heel at different time. And Sammy then even admits he would like to be world champion at least once. So it's good that he's kind of got goals. Before we talk about Sammy, one of my funny stories was they talked about WrestleMania. And of course, they wrestled on the same night with Owens and Austin in the main event. Zayn says he was backstage, he sees Stone Cold, and he's just pacing back and forth, and he's going, I'm not going to go there. And Austin said, a couple of people tried, and it wasn't successful. Just imagine someone going up to, excuse me, Mr. Austin, sir. He's getting ready. But for Sammy, I think for me, it showed me kind of his pride in his work, and it's weird when Austin says you're not even hit your prime yet when you're 38. Hopefully, there's a few years ahead of him. So what did you think of it overall anyway?
Yeah, this was awesome. I really enjoyed, like I mentioned, since I've been someone who's been able to watch a lot of this and see how he, and like you said, get his viewpoint. Because a lot of times as fans, we look at stuff and we see, that's just bad creative. They don't care about Sammy. He's always going to lose, whatever. And you get so wrapped up in that, you don't realize that even the little things or all the little effort that Sammy would put into something, even if he doesn't get his hand raised or whatever and all that type of stuff. And like you said, to hear his humility, to see my favorite part also about WrestleMania 38, to mention is that it was almost word for word what I told you guys. I said Kevin Owens was a made man, and I also said after watching what him and Sammy was able to do, I know they were on an emotional high. Well, they both, at least according to Sammy, admitted that they don't have to do much else to and they were like, that's why he defended his match, and like Kevin felt like a made man, like he don't have to do anything else. They don't have to win any other championship. They always have WrestleMania 38, and I'm glad that it was as special to them as it was to us, who got a chance to view it, because they both absolutely tore it up. Like you said, Sammy working with someone who's not even used to doing this full time, and Kevin getting this moment with one of the greats. So again, I think no matter what happens with Kevin and Sammy going forward, they will always be synonymous. And I do think that now, since we know, and I don't know if this was going on while this was being taped, I'm pretty sure probably Vince was still floating around, or they probably didn't know what direction we were going in. But now with Triple H possibly at the helm, Sami Zayn becoming world champion or being in a position to be a top contender may not be as far away as some people would think, because again, Hunter is, like he mentioned it, Hunter was one of the people that's always been in his corner, and we can already see a difference in the way Kevin Owens has been portrayed just in the few weeks that Hunter has been booking. So, big things are coming for Sammy, but I really enjoyed this episode because, like you said, it was great to get that insight to someone like Sammy who sometimes go under the radar, like you said, just for how good he routinely is. Yeah. So this was good stuff for me, man. Good stuff.
I think without a doubt, like I said, it's always good. It'd be good to see Kevin Owens on there, but obviously they've got to kind of work the feud at the moment. But I appreciate WWE looking at recent history, because it seems like, the amount of legends and people stories that we kind of know about, and yes, we might know a little bit about some because we're fans ourselves, but like in a bigger audience. And it would be interesting to see people, someone like The Miz, talk about how he had to deal with kind of backstage politics when he first joined. Trying to delve into that kind of thing would be quite interesting. You can go like, we can go back on the network, and this is since, the podcast's been around as well, so there's memories of that. And I think it's quite a good thing. Like I said, overall package is excellent. The next one on Broken Skull Sessions is Charlotte. So as long as we don't tell Jaxie, we should be fine.
Oh, man, I've heard some tea leaves, and the Becky Lynch fans are already clamoring.
Oh, my word, yes.
So I can't wait to talk about that one. We'll see.
We'll move on to quick news before we get to NXT UK, because the future of NXT UK has been a source of much speculation since WWE have kind of released as many talents as they can. I mean, we've been worried every week, I think, about UK when it comes around.
Yeah.
But one of the news stories that we got, which happened at the start of August, was the fact that BT Sports Studios weren't going to show, or the next 2 sets of televisions were cancelled at BT Sports Studios. They said they had to be used for the football coverage, but then again, that happened last year. And at the moment, talent are a little bit unworried and there's uneasiness going on. But at the moment in time, it is just a rumour, Monty. So we're going to leave it there because obviously everything is fine. So we're going to get on with NXT UK and we'll start July 28th. Nigel McGuinness and Annie Shepherd welcome us to BT Sports Studio for our first of 4 episodes. And we kick things off with a bang. The NXT UK titles online, Josh Briggs, Brooks Jensen versus Mark Andrews, and Wild Boar. And we see Briggs and Jensen hold their small opponents in the early goings, and when they went to the well later, apparently prepared Andrews caught Jensen with a Slumdog Millionaire on the way down to the mat for making a tag to Boar, who unleashed a series of menacing strikes. Andrews got tagged back in, nearly won it with a Slumdog Millionaire to Briggs, but Briggs dodged fall to pieces and tagged in Jensen, and then they hit their awkward high-low combination finisher for the win. The team shook hands following the match, but at least they're defending the title, so hopefully the reign won't last long. Andrews always deserves more, as I say. Wild Boar always losing. One of the things I did like on commentary... first of all, what do you think of the match throughout me continue talking? Because it wasn't too bad, was it?
Okay. No. Like you said, I was actually impressed, honestly, a little bit. But I wouldn't use, because I'm not usually interested much in what Jensen and Briggs do. But, and even as champs, I'm really not that interested. But seeing them against Boar and Andrews in this match really illuminated the size difference to me. And it played a major factor. They made the big guys look really strong to me. So I thought it ended up being solid stuff from both teams. Even with, like you said, Andrew deserving more and fighting from the bottom, but he's always been good at that. So I didn't have a problem with the match. I thought it was still solid stuff. But, yeah, man, you really got to see the difference in their size at points in this match.
I do hate Legormless Jensen, there's no doubt about that. But Nigel, I don't know if he was unleashed on commentary a little bit, but they're talking about Clash at the Castle, of course, which is the first WWE UK stadium show since SummerSlam Night 2. And Nigel mentioned being a fan at the event with Warrior face paint on, which I thought was nice. Then he went a bit too far.
Nice.
He mentioned Jensen's wrist injury might be from being single rather than anything else that has happened. So, it's Nigel. It's Nigel. What can you do? After running on Trent Seven last week, Bate was backstage and grabbed a camera even. He said he loved Seven like a brother, but now he's coming to get him. We saw a press conference with NXT UK Women's Champion Miko Satomura and the next challenger, Sarai. They spoke in Japanese, and Sarai said in English she was the sunrise and Satomura was the sunset. Satomura said no one could beat her. They posed for a photo, and Satomura stared at Sarai, which flustered her. And it's just so subtle, but I fucking loved it. It's something so easy for builds and excitement for the match. Yeah. Obviously, little did we know. But, Monty, we're going to play a little game. We're going to pretend we don't know what's happened.
Okay, got you.
At this moment in time,
got you.
We are living.
I got you, because I legitimately didn't know when I watched it. So, I got you.
So, at the moment, we cannot wait for Satomura and Sarai. And they're built up really well at this moment in time. We then get Blair Davenport versus Amel. Amel completely overwhelmed Davenport at the start, but Davenport showed a vicious side as he went to the ringside, evading a kick and grabbing Amel by the hair and throwing her back first into the floor. Davenport appeared to re-aggravate a previously injured leg. The French Hope nearly scored the win with a picture-perfect bulldog, but Davenport regrouped, count with an unforgiving boot to face, followed by a Falcon Arrow. But don't piss off Amel. It's a great trait to have as a face, have that kind of heat and anger with you. But I think Blair might need to find her groove again.
Yeah, I agree. This was, wasn't anything special here. Probably, I was happy this was able to happen because, I really like Amel, and I'm a fan of both ladies in this case. And you make a really good point about her fire. That's just that, like you said, is really really good when someone who's supposed to be the French hope and they have a mean streak too. A baby face, like you said, with a mean streak always works. So I agree with that. But again, this was a great way for Davenport to kind of reestablish herself, especially as a contender. But I agree with you. It was kind of off a little bit at times, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't like horrible or anything. I thought this ended up being a satisfactory result. But like I said, I'm really looking forward to this going into it because, again, I'm a fan of both of them.
Well, we see Oliver Carter was at the Familiar's dinner table and did a voiceover with a German accent. He then switched to his own accent, started upsetting the table decoration, and wrote a letter to the Familiar and told him Rohan Raja was next. We saw people still cashing in their bets with Shah. As he had no money left, Samuels paid people with his shoes and various track jackets. He was just and half naked by the end. But how many jackets can that man have on his body? It's pretty impressive. All credit to Shah.
It really cracked me up, man.
It's just good stuff. Then the main event, NXT UK Championship, Ilya Dragunov versus Wolfgang. And Wolfgang received a rough welcome from Dragunov, who took him down with early side headlock takedown. But looked like he appeared to injure his back just a few minutes later, and it plagued him throughout the match, often writhing in agony, especially when he hit the ropes at one point. Looked like he was going to be done. Wolfgang chucked Dragunov in the air, blasted with a knee to the back on the way down for a 2. Dragunov stung the hard, charging challenger with a knee, planted him back first for a slam, and then landed the torpedo to get the victory. And after the bell, Dragunov helped Wolfgang back to his feet. Wolfgang pointed to the UK title and seemed offered the champion some words of encouragement before shaking his hands. But can I just say, what a fucking match.
Man, amazing. Another one, too. Basically the 7th out of 7 amazing title matches in Dragunov's reign. This was a hell of a fight. I agree. It's the best I've seen of Wolfie probably since I started reviewing this, honestly, even though I think he's really, really good too. So Dragunov pulled the best out of another challenger, and it was just another physical contest. And again, I'm not a wrestling coach, but if I was, a part of my camera roll of trying to teach students how to sell, Dragunov has to be a part of that, man, because like you said, the back, he was in pure agony. At least that's the way he sold it. I don't know, of course, knowing more, having more information now, I know that he was, wounded legitimately, but I don't, the back though, the way he sold like you said, the running the ropes, anything he did, and just consistently, hell, I can go back to the Jordan Devlin stuff. And I thought his selling in especially the empty arena was just on another level. So anyway, he's so intense. They gave it their all. This is just a great example of what Dragunov, was and is as NXT UK champion. So I love this match.
What I'm about to say, like I said, his selling on the back was like Shawn Michaels-esque. It's like you can feel every move he does. It's like there is no audience because he's you're just connected to the kind of screaming and everything else that he's done.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because he's a smaller guy, but again, busting someone else's nose. This time, Wolfie. You think you're a big man, dear? Right there. Some great near falls. But how do you think Ilya done as champion? He's closed in. He didn't close in on a full year, 340 days. He had 7 title defenses. How do you think he did as NXT UK champion?
I believe match by match, if you just take the matches for what they were, you can put his title defenses up against anyone. I've been these were some of the best in just all the classes, the Dragunov stuff, of course, beating Walter or at the time Gunther anyway to get the belt, was one of the greatest moments of last year. And I think then he had one Bad News. I think he had a match with Bad News. He's had a lot of them spread out. So Nathan Frazier was a good one, if I remember. So again, he's dragging off match by match for his defenses. Has had an incredible run. I don't know if I would, it's hard to compare to Gunther. It's really, really tough. And Pete Dunne, again, very, very tough to compare. But I really think if you go off what he did, his match quality, he was an awesome NXT UK champion. And I can't wait for him to come back, honestly.
Yeah, and I think you make an excellent point, because the thing with like Walter's reign as champion was just so kind of it's Roman Reigns-esque, and I don't think anybody is going to touch that again. Pete Dunne again, so special. But when you look at his victories or his matches against Walter, you can look at Walter's title reign, but they were kind of 2020, 2021 match of the years.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And for promotion and for NXT UK, as we said, who doesn't kind of get the limelight and whether it is, like he doesn't believe that, and you can tell with the roster, and we're going to go into this in more detail later, but every single guy and every single girl roster believes in themselves and gives 100%, and that's where you get the best product, irrespective of people watching or not,
I agree. And then literally, like, whether it was people in the arenas with them, they were going, very, very hard with all the empty arena stuff they had to go through over the last year or so, or last few years. So, yeah, man, I agree 100%. NXT UK and with Dragon as champion, I still think, like I said, it's really tough. That just shows how strong the lineage is with the UK championship as far as reigns. But I don't know. I don't think I have a problem with like sliding him right between maybe Bate and Dunn or something, maybe in the ranking of.
It's difficult though, because it is for argument's sake, but it's
tough though.
They all fit. There's no Briggs and Jensen in that list,
Exactly.
So we do August 4th, and we did start with a shock with Ilya Dragunov relinquishing the NXT UK Championship after suffering a severe ankle injury against Wolfgang. Now, Monty, I know he had crutches and everything like this, but I still believe, as we talk about, that I don't know how serious this injury is, especially with all the news that we had in recent times. To bookend it with Tyler Bate, I think it might have made more sense. But again, I'm getting kind of ahead of myself. But it just seemed a bit, this is a bit of a coincidence. That just 4 weeks before it happens. But anyway, he came down and he was emotional. He said he suffered an ankle injury. He said the brand has only had fighting champions. He sees a bit of himself laying around the canvas and telling everyone they can endure any pain and still win. He vowed to come back as a better man and promised he'd be assessed with getting back the title, then left it in the middle of the squared circle and received a standing ovation as he took his leave. And Johnny Saint and Sid Scala didn't even wait to announce that a new champion would be determined in the May Superstar Tournament. It's a damn shame, I mean, I talk about the rumours, but I put here on the note, I can't lose anybody else, Monty. Little did I fucking know.
Little did you know. Oh my goodness. The storm was on the horizon. Behind you.
Second week. And I'm just do. Well, that's the worst thing that's going to happen this month, and just move on regardless. Chase U, we did see them going to London, and it must have been the time difference, because we did see, I don't know what else explanation. We see Andre Chase encourage Booty Hayward to give Samuels a pep talk, but the East End bookie was not amused. He berated him and told him he still had trunks and boots. Shah, if you still got boots, why are you not wearing them? why can't they be? I'm just saying.
Oh my goodness.
Makes sense. We then see Johnny Saint Scala approach backstage and ask vacant title. Like we talk about 8-man, and we'll be able to crown the people later to see who would depend. One of the matches, Oliver Carter versus Rohan Raja, we're looking at very, very closely, with Carter bringing the fight to Raja, blitzing with several right hands, but having to deal with constant interference from Tierman and Charlie Dempsey. And Di Familia should have, as we've seen before, it looked like it was going to be done, but we saw Carter hitting a crossbody with cracking Raja with spinning heel kicks. So I lost my train of thought there in the corner to get the win. And after Di Familia beating him down, punch rate by Dempsey with a half Boston Crab. It was a good match, but I think the finish was off positionally. But again, interesting thing to say. But Carter, again, there's something about Carter that I quite like.
Yeah, I agree. And, he shows great heart, and the timing in the ring and a lot of his moves are really good. I think he has potential to do great things. This match's quality was more of what I've come to expect from NXT UK TV. So I thought, textbook, it went exactly how I thought it would, except really Carter getting the advantage over the entire Di Familia pretty much. I must admit, in their vignettes, they come off as way more intimidating and badass than they are especially in this particular situation with it being 3-on-1. But this was still solid. Carter pulling off the victory was not bad at all.
I know you're a Bo fan, so these are they're the social outcasts of NXT UK with the level of success that they've had, I suppose. Thea Hale was backstage. We talk about why she went to chase you. Eliza Alexander walked in and told her she went to the School of Hard Knocks. She said she was sick of Americans coming over, you and me both, and taking opportunities from her. She challenged Hale to a match and went off, which greatly upset Hale, but Alexander will smash her. Di Familia walking backstage. Sam Gradwell walked up and said Tierman needed his men as backup and said he would take Tierman out. Faced off in the ring alone. Sam, wrong place, wrong time. Charles Samuels versus Booty Hayward. Samuels came out, raggedy, grimy clothes, was begging fans for money with his hat, which again, it's just come on, man, you're brilliant. And putting Booty off with his body odour. It looked like Hayward was closing on victory when he hit him with a power slam and some chop blocks and a standing splash. Samuels, however, evaded a hard charge in Hayward, blasting him with a decisive spine buster, and suddenly exuberant competitor even hugged the official after a 3 count. I mean, Shah is gold. His arc is great right now, and it's just, again, I'm going to be more pessimistic later, but god damn it, we want to see Shah make it again. But
I agree.
I don't know about you,
god
but
damn it.
I don't hate Bodie as much as maybe I should, but I think Shah is the perfect training partner.
I agree. Honestly, I'm big on Andre Chase. I haven't really. I'm with you. I was warming. I'm trying to figure out Bodie, but he hasn't annoyed me too much. And in the ring, like you said, I think he has room to improve, but he showed a decent enough foundation here, so I had no problem with it. But yeah, man. Shot, man. Just the way he looked and like the dirty tank, the dirty t-shirt, and just the gear, the mismatch, everything, every little detail was just funny. And he's lost everything. And I know he's my guy, Noam Dawes, great corner man, but I could not stop laughing watching him in this situation. Him being in need of a shower popped me because it was one of those things I've always wondered. I was always hoping. I'm hopeful that all the wrestlers make sure they shower in these situations before their matches. You don't want to put people in compromising positions with body odor, but I love that too. But I was just too busy laughing at this match to really even grade it the way. But his celebration was gold, man. His celebration for winning was just perfect. So I love this. I just had a good time with this one.
Well, we see Oliver Carter coming out of the doctor's room and says Scala still going around trying to find people for the tournament and says Carter will be ready, but he has to wrestle next week. Bit of a dick move, Sid. But the bracket for the NXT UK Championship Tournament is the left side of the bracket, Oliver Carter versus Charlie Dempsey. Wolfgang versus Trent Seven. And on the right side, we've got Tyler Bate versus Kenny Williams. And Joe Coffey versus Mark Andrews. Doesn't look too bad, that tournament, of course. We all started this off back in 2017 with the very first tournament for the UK Championship. And then this thing really annoyed me because we were supposed to have Mika Satomura defending against Saray, but Blair Davenport came out and said Satomura and Saray were experiencing some difficulties, but they didn't even... Well, I looked into this. They didn't even tape this match at the previous set of tapings.
Yeah.
So they didn't... They had all this set up and then didn't deliver. Why advertise it? We see Davenport hit the squared circle, talking about everything that went wrong. Sid Sculler then attempted to come out, were joined by Amel, Eliza Alexander, and Isla Dawn, who all state their claim. Sculler ruled that Dawn and Davenport would immediately have a match. Why those two? I don't know.
Why do? Yeah.
Exactly. What the two of them? We see the number one contendership match, but Spirit with Slugfest ensued, but Alexander yanked Dawn out of the ring, while the White Witch covered Davenport, sparking a wild brawl between Davenport, Amel, Dawn, and Alexander. Officials did their best. But, you know, what the fuck was going on with the show today? I'm just hoping, again, it was just a crossover episode, but it just didn't seem that they cared. There was a real jump on from what happened. And again, if it's just a crossover taping with taping, it's fine. But I watch Impact, and they do it really well. So there's kind of no excuse with WWE production value, you know? It's not... It's not as bad as NXT 2.0,
no, it's not.
But it's getting there.
This was bad. This was just unspeakably bad, man. You know, the bait and switch is bad enough, but I've been a WWE fan long enough to know that they believe it's cards subject to change, so whatever. But not even showing a video or something of one of Mako or whatever being, and I understand there's probably difficulties with that, with the tapings and all of that stuff going on, but like not being able to edit any type of better type of excuse for why both people that was going to be in this promoted main event could not be here was really annoying. Also, I was confused because I just had way more questions than answers with the segment. Because even though I saw Eliza earlier, I was like, where the hell is Zaya? And then, because am I missing something? I didn't even remember I didn't know, when did Alexander admit that she wanted to be a title contender? And then I didn't mind the encounter with Isla and Blair because we both talked about being impressed with their work, and especially with what Isla been doing. But the no contest result and with the impromptu whole setup just made me wish for the title match I was promised at the end of the day. And the interference made sense, but all of that could have been better executed, So I don't know, man. I'm with you. I was very, very confused and just, aggravated. That was the first time watching NXT UK. I came away from a show just like, wow, that was horrible. Yeah. And at least the ending. And that was just, I don't know. That was the first time they've ever really did that when it comes to reviewing NXT UK. So I agree with your point when you're comparing this to 2.0.
This is the worrying thing. You get the 2.0 guys coming over, and then you get the kind of rumours about the tapings, and then you actually get a show like this, and you're thinking, hang on now, there's saying...
Yeah.
It's a change, you don't know what it is, but there's something. But again...
Something's coming.
We're still focused at August 11th. It's time for a new champion, you see, because we've still got this tournament that I'm tying myself to like it means something, goddammit.
Right.
And the first round match is Oliver Carter versus Charlie Dempsey. And Carter was one step ahead of his tormentors as he attacked all three while opposing during their entrance. Fighting through immense pain in his injured knee, Carter struggled his way out of submission hold, rolled up Dempsey for the 3 count. And managed to go through to the next round. Again, this was no surprise. There's only so matches you can have in wrestling. And as this match going and go, I know what's going to happen. Carter's going to get the surprise win, but Dempsey wrestles the way Regal's son should. If it ever was.
So vicious.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of Stone Cold coming out and stunning people and drinking beer. Like, this is exactly who I thought Dempsey would be.
I agree. And you make a good point now that I think about it, but I still honestly was shocked because I thought at the end, I thought Carter would come close to getting the shock victory, but Dempsey would still make him tap in the end or something. But this is well done, though, man. And that finish, I did enjoy the way it was executed and like all the leverage he had on the roll up. Look, it was just perfect. It was the best way to do it. Carter has bested Defamil again and again. Like at this point, man, Defamil, like it's one guy. It's really tough to think about the big things that you have coming forward when you can't take down one guy. This was great, though. Carter had great resilience. So.
Well, Trick Williams needs to teach these guys. There's only one of me. There's two of you, and you're the worst team ever. Like, you don't. The whole point about having a 2-man advantage ringside is that you're meant to win, but you don't. But again, this was good stuff, and Dempsey kind of win-loss record and not coming near gold might mean a call-up soon. But again, that doesn't matter now. But we saw the women aren't with Davenport, Alexander Mel, and Isla Dawn all backstage screaming after last week's main event. I'll tell you what, poor Sid Scala, his eyes were popping out at this point. He then was busy because not only did he have the women to deal with, he then asked Tyler Bate not to interfere in Trent's 7 match tonight. Bate said he'll never do something like that, but he will get under 7's skin by becoming the new NXT UK champion. And then Thea Hale versus Eliza Alexander. And Hale showed tremendous school spirit in the early goings. Managed their arm drag takeover, picture perfect drop kick. They wickled back over to the jaw. But Alexander nevertheless showed why she is the smasher by a nasty camel clutch for claiming victory by clobbing her with running knee to the face. Maybe strengthening her case against Mika Satomura. But credit to Hale to stepping up to the smasher. But I like she even sold her knee at the end of this, which I thought, fucking hell, she's quite good.
Yeah, I agree. She's really good. And like you said, the Bruiser is just a perfect name. I love it. She's tough and just absolutely a physical marvel in the ring so far. I'm really just excited to see more when it comes to her. And this was a good win. Obviously she wants to be a contender for Mako's title, so I didn't have a problem with her picking up the victory. It was pretty much the way it was supposed to go. I won't lie, kind of felt like filler because of how unestablished maybe Hell is in this situation, but I thought she showed a little bit of heart. Didn't look too bad. So this was not bad at all to me. Solid stuff from both.
Well, Nina Samuels crashed an interview segment with Mel. Mel said she would beat whoever it took to get an NXT Women's Championship shot, whether it's Davenport, Dawn, Alexander, or Nina Samuels. But go on, Nina. Talk about guts or delusion. Nina has it in abundance.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, dear. And then we see Andre Chase give a lecture backstage. Eddie Dennis interrupted with this new kind of high school teacher gimmick that he's got now. A bit different from Symbiosis, I suppose. Chase said, if you want to be a good teacher, teach this guy, pointing at Saxon Huxley. Of course, the maths and ex-head teacher Eddie Dennis versus his American doppelganger. I don't know if you ever noticed, Eddie Dennis and Andre Chase do look pretty similar. But the segment itself popped me. What didn't excite me was TMN versus Sam Gradwell. Yes, non-tournament. Rahan Raja was ejected from ringside. Again, useless. What is the point?
Useless.
Useless.
Thank you.
It's just, yeah, they got 3-1 account attacks, but they keep getting cool. Gradwell took advantage by clocking his foe with a knee brace to the face and a slam for the win. Sam wins. Sam wins. But the only one worse with Sam win-loss record is probably Tierman. It's just terrible.
God damn it, man. Yeah, it felt a little bit by the book at times, but I did think it was entertaining. It was hilarious to me because it was almost immediately after Roger was removed. Tim just gets dropped. He very well dropped him that fast. And the knee brace, smart. I loved it. I popped for that too. I agree with you, man. Just useless. Like, I don't know what the hell the vignettes had me thinking, because I definitely thought D Familia would be, more of a threat to this. But good for Sam, though. Good for Sam to get a victory here. But
well, hopefully it gives them purpose. Being the gatekeeper of NXT UK, but not much, I guess. Scola congratulated Mark Coffey on winning the Heritage Cup. Noam Dar entered the office and demanded a rematch. Scola said he would try and make it happen, but Monty, Dar wants his baby back.
Yeah. I'm not mad, and no Shaw this time either. Just Dar. I love it.
Well, exactly. Well, the main event round for the NXT UK title, Wolfgang versus Trent Seven, and Trent pulled out every dirty trick in the book during his match against Wolfgang. Barked in the chance of "you sold out." The Don did everything he could to maintain his distance in the early goings and mocked fans with a classic mustache mountain pose. Wolfgang overwhelmed Seven with a double axe, a thunderous scoop slam, and a diving elbow. Seven raised his knees in Wolfgang's back to counter a swanton, drilled him with a right hand, and planted him with a decisive burning hammer. And Seven will go now to face Carter in the semi-finals. I will say Seven is my pick because I hope they can complete the set for British Strong Style. Little did I know. What do you think of this match, though?
Wolfie man, he impressed me. I don't know, maybe I was tripping, but I don't know why the last few times I got to get a chance to see Wolfie one-on-one, I was genuinely enjoying it. Maybe it was because who he's working with or whatever, but Seven here, like you said, did everything he could to try to take advantage of Wolf and just get his chance. And then with the nice swanton bomb that I really wasn't even expecting Wolf to pull out to the knees, getting the knees up and then, hitting the burning hammer. I liked the finish. I liked how it was executed. This match was fantastic, man. It was another display of what the character of the new Trent Seven, or the real Trent Seven, I think is what he's been saying, what that type of match was and what it is. And I think him winning was the right move because obviously whether Seven was in the finals or not, a clash with Bate is what we all want anyway. So, but yeah, I like this.
Well, the interesting thing, we mentioned it with Owen and Zayn earlier about the kind of physique and what they look like. And if anybody who doesn't watch NXT UK sees Trent Seven and Wolfgang going to have a match, you're thinking, what are these guys going to do? And like you said, the action was fantastic. These two guys have been there since the very beginning. They met in the original 2017 tournament as well for the NXT UK Championship. So, Wolfgang was actually my pick for that tournament, but let's not go too back. Let's not go too far back. It's weird how you remember things. But then the bombshell, and we're going to talk about it right now, and it's not a rumour. So, what happened this week? Well, W announced on Thursday that the NXT UK brand will end, and it will open up a new creation of NXT Europe. They said UK is going to go hiatus, which we all know what that means. And the final event will be Wales Collide, which is going to take place on September 4th, which will have NXT and NXT UK superstars facing off each other. That will explain the ending of Heatwave, which we'll talk at the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's going to be lots of points. You might have to stop me because I'm going to just ramble on. But one of the things that fucking annoys me is that we're coming up to Clash at the Castle. I don't know if I've mentioned it before. 30 years since the last UK stadium event. And what we do, not even if this event was in the UK, but we're only 2 weeks away now. Like the ticket sale and everything like this, it would have been a perfect send-off for NXT UK to be at like the O2 with 20,000 fans there kind of cheering them on. They said the reason they're going to do this is they felt it was time to expand beyond the UK and obviously moving into Europe. So first off, we do all that. So NXT UK, Monty, you and I have been following it, well, for a while now. Of course, I forced you in some ways, but I know you enjoy it deep down. The move from NXT UK to NXT Europe, it took us all by shock. And we were kind of discussing as well, like, kind of what this means for NXT Europe and maybe what the future holds. You know, so it's interesting times. What were your first thoughts when you saw this? Because obviously we both thought of each other, but, you know.
I was just about to say, my fiance told me, and I was like, holy shit, I gotta contact James. I got questions, like, really? This is... And then I heard about it, but like the entire list, and we probably will get into it in a minute, but I'm still until today that I hear the entire full list, because I actually was a little bit like heartbroken myself, because you're right, you forced me into this, but I did come to love a lot of the stuff that I was watching, a lot of the characters and a lot of the work. I talk about it all the time, just how much I love the way everything made sense and just the logic in the storytelling when it came to NXT UK and the focus on the action, the Heritage Cup. I just had a lot of questions. I'm like, is the Heritage Cup done now, or will that go to Europe with it, or like it's just in general, like, what's the difference between? I know I understand like the location, but like, will this be similar in style, like, or like what's gonna happen? What's gonna be this new incarnation? And then if it is gonna be a new incarnation, with all the massive releases and stuff, it's just I like I said, I just ended up with more questions. But at the same time, I was very, very hurt, because I was really coming into really enjoying NXT UK, even if it was, I guess, nowhere near its former glory, or like where it was when the crowds were there, or like when they were able to do, you know, takeovers and all that. And I agree 100%. The timing of this, man, like. I was really, once I heard it, I was like, man, they couldn't have done anything at Clash, like whatever or something or like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would have been nice, but yeah, man, it sucked. It really sucked once it sunk in what this meant, if you see what I was trying to say.
Well, and the thing is, the annoying thing about it as well is, I'd say the pandemic kind of ruined a lot of things, there's no doubt. But over the UK, right, you know, they were selling out shows, you know, going to the Royal Albert Hall, and to move into Europe, you know, and do events in Paris, in Germany, Italy, you know, elsewhere. Think of really nice capitals, you know, and try and expand that. Well, of course, Walter, at the champion at that moment in time, was a perfect gateway into Europe, and that all stopped.
Right.
And again, people are saying NXT UK, you know, hang around for, you know, we were waiting for this day, you know, all joking aside and all kind of, you know, seriousness aside, people go, why have Bray Wyatt been released in NXT UK, talent's still there? Why has this wrestler been released, you know, and these guys are still there? And like we said, we heard it was going to go from UK to Europe, which again is another question, because like we talk about, you know, 205 Live or the original NXT UK will come to an end, and then it will be our decision if we kind of follow NXT Europe, because if it's something completely different, it might be, you know, like I said, more shows even. NXT UK with an hour, the way it has been perfect to try and catch up on. What we have been missing is the bi-monthly shows. Obviously, they want to work with more kind of European wrestlers, which is understandable. But again, to talk about what then happened after, whilst NXT UK was going to debut or premiere even on the network, we had 23 performers from NXT UK be released, and man, they were doing it back to back on Twitter. I mean, I was following this story as it was going on, and it was fucking heartbreaking. Now, again, we've made jokes about talent, you know, or someone like Saxon Huxley, you know, where we Saxon Huxley, Wild Boar,
Primate, Symbiosis, I think, in general,
Which, again, you know, but then we're going to read off this list, man, like we talk about. It's fucked up. Like Saxon Huxley, Eddie Dennis. Now, Eddie Dennis was on the fucking Heart Radio in the UK 2 weeks ago. He actually liked and retweeted a tweet. So did Mandrew. This is what's so fucked up, is that we were interacting with him just a couple of weeks ago. He was talking about wanting to be on the show, and then they released him. You know, the Welsh guy coming up to the Welsh event. The same.
Oh my goodness.
The same with Mark Andrews. Yeah, Mark Andrews, Welsh. How many times have I said he deserves a kind of lot more? Amel, the French Hope. We talked about how much she's got going for her. Tierman, you know, again, looked like he was going to be a ready-made actor next to UK. Tyson T-Bone, maybe not surprised. Jack Stars, Ashton Smith. How much did it mean to him?
Injured, man.
When he got that and injured as well, taken away. Sid Scala, Rohan Raja, Danny Luna, Amelia McKenzie, Miko's Amir Jordan. Amir Jordan had to say it was him under the mask because they weren't finishing up that storyline.
I was mad. I was like, I understood it, but like, damn, like I wanted that to pay off. We got robbed of it.
We had the Bomber Dave Mastiff getting released as well. Flash Morgan Webster officially coming up to an end. And then again, I'm getting a lump in my throat actually talking about the kind of guys that are going to be released. But like the three that really fucking hit home for me, obviously, as we talk about, is Trent Seven, who's probably doing the best character work at this moment in time. Shah Samuels, who's got himself in tremendous shape from NXTUK. And the worst one is my man, Sam Gradwell. Released. It's just, you know, and it's people say to me, well, come on now. But I'm not one of those. It's a lot of people go, oh, NXTUK talent been released. We feel sorry. But when there's an actual connection, when you've seen these guys kind of starting off, you know, in little places like Sittingbourne or wherever it is around Kent, locally to me, and then getting a chance to NXT. And then the thing that fucking annoys me, if it failed in itself, you know, but I think these guys still had so much to give, and that roster had so much more to give and wasn't given the proper chance. I think that's what gets me more. But is there any names on that list? I mean, because like I said, all the names for me are surprising. But is there anybody that maybe you thought like they've just dropped the ball there? And again, it's just tough.
Immediately, a male came to mind. Only because they said it's NXT Europe, and I'm like, okay, French Hope. What the hell is like why? Like she's literally the French Hope. She could be a great if you're gonna do NXT Europe. What's the reasoning behind getting rid of us? And I immediately was on the mend because when I saw Shaw, I was like, what? And I was like, oh, Lord, please no him. But I haven't heard anything about that. So maybe he'll be a part of the Europe thing. But, I don't know. It was just all of this was a lot. And like you mentioned, Mark Andrews, a guy who, before I was even watching NXT UK full time, I had the pleasure of getting a chance to watch him do his thing a couple times. Him and Flash Morgan Webster, for that matter, even though he was pretty much already out of the door. But yeah, man. And I don't know if you mentioned was Kenny Williams released? Because I think I saw he was gone too. But
yes,
I don't know
Kenny
how
Williams.
so I was into the scum of the earth stuff, and I'm like, that couldn't work. I felt like that could work on NXT. Hell, with the right commitment to it, which he seems to have, that would be a great main roster gimmick. The scum of the earth work he was doing. So that's out of the door. So it was a lot of them, honestly.
And also,
that I was just like, this sucks.
Sorry, I just mentioned Nina Samuels as well, along with that list.
Yes, we toot her horn all the time, and that sucked too. Seeing that, it was just like, really, all the commitment and all. Like you mentioned, they didn't believe it. And I think even, like, for example, the black and gold brand switching, we didn't want it to happen. It sucked. It was horrible. But at least you had the fact that they were going head to head with AEW and they probably didn't perform well. At least you had excuses or at least a reasoning behind it that you would just have to deal with that makes sense. But like you mentioned, NXT UK still was not only building, but just like we just mentioned in the last review, I remember talking about again that, we'll see about the future, but I like where they at. So I agree with you. We talk about it all the time that we genuinely enjoy watching these run of NXT UK episodes. So to see so many people that we've been watching even if it's been in the shadows from the perspective of the entire wrestling world, a lot of the people who I saw on social media Thursday having a lot to say and who were hurt, it was a lot of fans also who watched NXT UK who were just as hurt when they had it just sucked. I saw Amelia McKenzie posting a lot of memories, pretty much mostly the whole women's roster. And thinking about all the people who were gone now, I was just like, damn, like it just really, really sucked because, like we said, it was just potential all the way down the line. And it sucked because I mentioned in the past that NXT UK was kind of off to itself in the shadows, and maybe that's how come they was avoiding all of these cuts. But I think me and you, deep down, we already kind of felt that it was always a chance that if some people were going to be cut again, if it was going to be a mass again, NXT UK will not continue to avoid that. So it really, really sucked that it finally reached them, because I agree with you. The work and the amount of effort that they put into all the stuff that they were doing, storytelling wise, wrestling wise, no matter if it was 13 people watching or 3,000 people, it was still top-notch stuff. So this makes my heart heavy to see all these people, off and jobless. I do have high hope that some of them, and probably most of them, can land on their feet, because we talked about this, a lot. And, I don't necessarily know about the British wrestling scene itself, but there's plenty of opportunities for great workers around the world to make money. So hopefully in the coming, after these releases, we'll get to see them continue to apply their trade around the world going forward. And that's basically the best way I can look at it, right now.
Yeah, I think the thing is that to be able to have the pleasure to kind of view it, and especially to get you on board of it, because it's all well and good to, I like NXT UK, but when you have a sort of outsider come in and go, do you know what, James, you're not actually full of shit, this is actually quite good. The character work and the kind of the way that the women's division there is probably the greatest, one of the greatest women's divisions of all time. We're never going to see the potential. And again, it's interesting to think.
Yeah.
It's Triple H is doing. If this was under Vince McMahon, it would be fuck Vince McMahon. What's he doing? And now it's Triple H, and they're kind of going, oh yeah, well, we'll see what Europe's about. And there's no doubt, these guys who've been released might get a chance, in NXT Europe or something like this. But it would be interesting to see. There are some NXT UK stars still under contract, of course. Yep. NXT UK champion Tyler Bate. Well, more than that in a little bit. NXT UK Women's Champion Mika Santamura, Heritage Cup Champion Mark Coffey, we got Joe Coffey, Wolfgang, Noam Dar, Isla Dawn, Ilya Dragunov, Charlie Dempsey, Rampage Brown, Oliver Carter, Aaliyah James, Aoife Valkyrie, Ginny, and Stevie Turner. Now is not to make a joke of people's livelihoods and stuff like that. So I'm just going to leave it there. And like I said, the next episode will be... the end of NXT UK, which is even weird to say. But like you said, I suppose I've been waiting for it. Every month when you think this could be the month, this could be the last kind of NXT UK. And weirdly enough, next month will be the last NXT UK. Not to be too depressing. Yeah. But we'll have a look at it and, of course, do a goodbye NXT UK. Excuse me. But like I said, literally 2 weeks before they go to Wales. It's crazy. We've got the last episode of NXT UK to watch. It's so weird, August 18th, watching it on the day it all changed, But, excuse me, we have a job to do. So let's enjoy these final episodes. Joe Coffey versus Mark Andrews, NXT UK title match. Do you know, St. Monty, this was the first ever match on NXT television. Joe Coffey, Mark Andrews, very first match we ever saw, and one of the last ones. But I'll try not to dwell on it. A Subculture member did his best to take advantage of his speed against the Iron King, hitting their middle rope Hurricane Runner and leaping into the air with a ring apron to dive his boots into his opponent's chest. Coffey Low, who twice challenged for the NXT UK title, recovered to blast Andrews with a belly-to-belly overhead suplex and decisive. All the best for the Bells. But you could tell these guys have worked with each other many a time.
Yes, you can. I came into this expecting fun, and it was with the contrasting styles, of course, of Mark Andrews using his speed and Coffee using his strength, and I think overall, though I think as the match went on, Coffee kind of overwhelmed him with that strength, and of course that flurry towards the end there. And I thought Coffee advancing was good. This whole match was a fun start to the episode. And even though I think Mark Andrews do deserve more, I don't think either one of us expected him to get the victory over Big Joe. And honestly, after this match, it made me think about it. It was just like it was very, very unfortunate that by the time I watched this, I already knew the turn was because Coffee. I would not have had a problem if he finally got over that hump, because he had him versus Braun Baker just visually making me think would be fun. But honestly, I'm definitely not complaining with the result. We'll get to that more. But yeah, man, this is cool.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about Mandrews as well. His match versus Pete Dunne would always be my favourite matches in NXTUK a few years back. Nina Samuels versus Amel up next, and Samuels nearly backed up her bluster when she trapped Amel on the ropes and targeted her spine, but the French Hope fired back, some menacing reverse elbows and a bulldog. Moments later, Amel delivered a punishing big boot, followed by the Hope Breaker to earn the victory. Two huge talents here, and like we said, unfortunately, looking for work elsewhere.
Man, yeah, I don't know, man. Honestly, with both of their work, I honestly don't think they should be looking too long. But who knows, honestly. And I really don't. I don't know, man. I just think I like with the video package they showed for Bill and the way she was picking up a little bit of steam. I just thought that the potential was always there, and we being you both love what Nina been doing. As a matter of fact, we love it so much that I didn't even know until they mentioned it on commentary that she has not won since last year. So, knowing the result and seeing her name on that list, seeing both of these names, it just made me feel like they both deserve better. But this was a strong performance for Mel, as she was climbing the contender ranks. So. This was a positive.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Nina, she had the crowd with her as well. So there's a connection she had with that character. It's a shame, like you said, the character won't be seen by kind of like a wilder audience because there was nothing like it. This is what I'm trying to think. There wasn't
like you said,
another character.
Probably the most delusional person I've ever. Just in her entire she's in her own world all the time.
Yeah, it's just it's brilliant. We see Oliver Carter asked about his injured knee. Trent Seven came up and gloated about Carter's leg being bandaged and braced. Carter said last time in the ring he made them ex-champions. Seven admitted that, and he said it was a pivotal moment for his career. And he said the real Trent Seven, he would break Carter's leg. Ear Dragunov cut a pre-tape promo where he said he was curious where his take his place, but always pointed out it was his place. Dragunov said he'd be back and would capture his title. And again, is there a better champion for NXT Europe than Ilya Dragunov to kind of start off that whole new wave in the new year? It just seems a bit coincidental that to forfeit the championship. Then again, maybe I'm just thinking too much into it. We never know.
By the way, he gave two great babyface promos between this and giving up the belt. Awesome stuff.
He's trying. He's been told it's like, no, it's no point here. We're gonna end up. No. Let me at least try and add a bit of emotion to it.
Right.
Eddie Dennis and Saxon Huxley versus Chase U. But Dennis certainly had his work cut out for him. He had a difficult time simply convincing Huxley to go to his corner at the start of the match. But we see Booty Hayward coming to Chase. The partners linked up for the match, ending Fratliner. Following a loss, Dennis shoved Huxley, Pete poked him in the chest, and Huxley responded with a chokeslam powerbomb. Then Huxley chest bumped with Hayward, and Chase shook the crazy competitor's hand during the celebration. The doppelgangers did clash, but this had a very developmental feel about it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was one of those type of matches. Weird to watch still, because Chase U are the only employed wrestlers here. But yeah, solid TV match, like you mentioned. Developmental feel to it. I'm not gonna lie. Even though I do like that finish, and I was very proud. I like the finish of the tag team, fratliner. I'm into that. But I was proud to hear how over Chase and Chase U is in the UK. I was like, nice to see that he got there over with that crowd and down in Florida. I don't know about how it would work in a SmackDown arena or whatever, but who knows? Crazier stuff has been chanted, as we both know. So, but this is fine, though. This is fine.
We're gonna have to buy a few more tickets in the arena to get the Chase U section. But
good point.
We saw the video of the upcoming Heritage Cup rematch between Noam Dar and Mark Coffey. Both men were confident they would pick up the victory. This match airs next week, which means that we will show it. We'll have Noam Dar, Mark Coffey for the Heritage Cup in our final NXT UK update. But no one told these guys it didn't mean anything to them, because what a fucking video. Wow.
Right? I loved it, man. The back and forth. I loved and like Noam Dar's focus, and I just like him saying, don't worry about Shaw. It was always about me. It has nothing to do with Shaw. And I like Mark telling him, like, I told you, without your corner, man, you can't beat me. So I love the challenge of it. And he even mentioned that Noam Dar is probably or pretty much the greatest Heritage Cup, champion in history. So honestly, going into it, I'm thinking like Mark can pull it off, but they kind of had me hyped to where I'm like, I would love, this chapter of NXT UK to end off with Noam reclaiming his trophy. But we'll see what happens. This was great, though. I agree. Really good stuff.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. Kenny Williams versus Tyler Bate, UK title tourney. They stormed out the starting blocks of the nasty first round encounter that had the NXT UK Universe on the edge of their seats. When the fight spilled to ringside, Williams dodged his hard-charging foe and ruthlessly chucked him into the ringside barricade, nearly claiming a count-out victory. The scum of the earth stayed aggressive by raining down some vicious right hands, dishing out a savage chop block to Bates' knees. Bate, however, fought through agonising pain to disorient Williams, with a seemingly never-ending airplane spinner tattooed him with a Tyler Driver 97 to seal the date with the Iron King. This, as we know, is Kenny's last match, but these guys in great shape, not even near their prime yet. This is just classic NXT UK action.
Yeah, man. Like I said, the only shame to it was that I had at that point already saw what was going on when it comes to Heatwave, but ignoring that, this was great. This is just, it's a shame. I don't want to keep doing that. So I'm kind of glad that we're at the end here. But it's such a shame that the scum of the earth was gone, because I wrote it down here. I really thought his persona could work in 2.0, Europe, whatever they wanted to do. I thought that the way he had that going and his character and the way he works in general, I thought he had so much potential. Right up there with Bate. And I think this match shows you that this is a good example of why I think he's in that realm, even if he may not be on Bates' level, because he's just so good. You shouldn't need me to tell you how good Bate is. I know you know. But this was great, and this was physical and fun.
Without a shadow of a doubt, a really, really good way to end NXT UK. And one of the questions is how have you enjoyed NXT UK this month? But it's completely different, because it's we know the end is coming,
Yeah, I agree. That's what it is. I didn't even really write anything. I usually write down some my feelings, but this time I just wanted to kind of just go definitely off my expression. I think literally the way I viewed this Bachelor episode, all the way until the Belair and Isla Dunn, switcheroo of the Mako Satomura type of main event. From that moment on, then it was obvious that something is different. You know what I mean? Something is ended, because that was so weird. And it seems like that one single moment made everything else, it kind of connected the dots to me that this may be the end. but and then between the luck of Ilya, or even what you're suggesting, that maybe the timing of Ilya's injury or whatever, and how that, connecting all of that, this was a very, very chaotic batch of NXT episodes, and just a chaotic feeling in general surrounding knowing what we know now. But I'm down to finish it out strong with you, so I know that much. That's the best we can do, man. Just try to finish out the review strong and see whatever else is coming next when it comes to Europe. But I'm really interested in what you think, because I know this is like the equivalent of New Japan to me had an announcement that everything was, you know what I mean, and I would be that amount of hurt, the same amount of hurt. So like I really am interested in what you thought, especially knowing everything we know now.
Well, this is the thing. It was a shock, but then again, we kind of knew it. We have been speaking about NXT UK for a while, and it doesn't matter. It sounds like, James likes it, so they will continue it forever. This is the interesting thing where, but again, it's the talent involved. It wasn't the roster's fault. It wasn't like the roster were, self-serving or worried about own egos. You talk about kind of, AEW at the moment, backstage politics and everything like that. It didn't seem to be anything.
Right.
It was a whole roster of people working to go to one direction, and it seems even with like William Regal or Ray Ripley or Dakota Kai or anybody, Pete Dunne, of course, the big part of it, but anybody that's even kind of been there realised how important it was to their careers. And I think NXT UK, when we look back on years to come, hopefully the talent that have come through, Volta and like I said with Dunn, hopefully Tyler Bate and everybody else can stand the test of time. I don't want it to feel like an experiment, like 205 Live, when it was a cruise. Let's try the UK guys. I think if the pandemic hadn't happened, then we're looking at something completely different right now, and the expansion to Europe might have happened. But Triple H had to do something. For NXT UK to be trending in the the week, the only time it's trending is when all the rest being released. Then I think therein lies the issue. So if it is a bigger connection between NXT Europe and NXT as it was, or however they do it, it'd be interesting to see. But it's just weird to think that it's going to be an hour less of TV each week, but it was probably the hour I look forward to the most, in a kind of really kind of sad way about it. It's like, and with the talent involved, let's just hope they can find success elsewhere. But this moment and this time that we all had together, even with the talents on Twitter and it just kind of being class acts and the way they interact, it's a sad time, and it is massive to think. Yeah, we were there looking at the first show, reviewing it, and now we're a month out or a couple of weeks away even from the show. But hopefully the legacy lives on, and this is the thing. But it is tough. It's tough. I know it's wrestling, but it's that personal connection. And someone said on Twitter as well, was like, well, all you marks and all you people on podcasts who say NXT UK is a great show, we just bitch and moan now that, you won't have it, you won't be able to say it's good. But we've still, I've still got Impact for that. So there's always another company where no one's watching, where it's great wrestling, and it's similarities between an Impact and NXT UK as well. But it's just a shame like I said, if Worlds Collide was at the O2 with a sold-out arena, and again, I don't know where it's going to be, compared to maybe the Performance Centre, or NXT UK given a little bit more respect and time for the past couple of years. It's an interesting thing. But it is a shame. And like I said, with all the talent involved, I think the main thing I can say for all the talent, any wrestler that performed, even the kind of referees, the crew and the staff and everybody else, thank you, because it is an end of an era, weirdly enough. So, yeah, well,
perfect way to cap it off. Perfect way to cap it off.
Let's try and pick ourselves up now. Let's move on.
Look at what you're using to pick yourself up with 2.0.
We should have done this the other way around. We should have ended on this. I don't want to do this. Right. Fine. No, we're going to get on 2.0. Come on, we've got this to do. We've got Heatwave as well. So we start with July 26th. So we start showing appreciation to the fans for accepting her back after injury. Cora Jade interrupted, followed by Toxic Attraction. Stark challenged Mandy Rose to a title match, but instead Gigi Dolan agreed to fight her later, and she lost. Segment was pointless. Grayson Waller beat Wesley. Apollo Crews beat Zion Quinn. After the Dolan Stark match, Cora Jade attacked Stark, but Roxanne Perez returned to send her running, announcing the Rose would face Stark at Heatwave, with Sarai confront the NXT Women's Champion. A match between them. No, Sarai, it was Miko, not Mandy. That's where it went wrong. We then see...
Got confused.
Yeah, that's what happened. Perez then announced alongside Alundra Blaze she was relinquishing the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship in a fatal four-way. Next week, we'll crown the new title holders. Blaze, I mean, come on. You know, if anybody knows about throwing title belts in bins, it is Alundra Blaze. JD...
She wrote the book.
Yeah. And appeared in the crowd where he gave health tips to fans. He was then greeted everybody at ringside. Finally called out Bron Baker, the NXT Champion, challenge JD to a match at Heatwave before headbutting him. Giovanni Vinci beat Andre Trace. Nathan Frazier returned after. Indy Hartwell beat Ariana Grace. And the main event, the D'Angelo family defeated Diamond Mind. It wasn't a bad episode, but it was building towards Heatwave, you know?
Yeah, it said exactly. That's all. It was the building blocks for everything going into Heatwave. It pretty much set everything in motion that's going to happen. And I think from that night the match that stuck out the most to me, believe it or not, of course, is Andre Chase and Vinci. By the way, I don't think we even have to praise him because we liked him when he was Fabian, but you know. He's incredible, and I thought that anyway. But I'm really glad that the spotlight is all on him too now. Hopefully that continues to happen. And I thought Andrew Trace finally got a chance to show that he can actually have a competitive match and not just have his spot and then lose convincingly. But other than that, yeah, like you said, this show did a great job of building things going forward.
I'm looking forward to our updates in a couple of months when they're like 20 minutes long. And people go, where were the 2-hour shows? As we just 2.04 episodes, bang, 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 bang.
So just 2.0.
Yeah. There is nothing to look forward to now on NXT. No, there might be. August 2nd, we start with the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way Elimination Match. Lisa Leon and Valentina Feroz versus Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley versus Toxic Attraction versus Kaden and Katana. Leon and Feroz were the first team eliminated, followed by Nar Tatum. Finally, Katana Chance and Kaden Carter avoided familiar disaster by taking out Gigi Dolan and pinning JC Jane after a 450 splash net breaker. Yes, your new NXT Tag Team Champions. It is... of course, Kaden and Katana, but I was annoyed because they didn't do this at In Your House, and it cost me a point. So you should have done it at the proper time. Should have been fine. Fine by Leon and Perez in this one, and Toxic may be the best team in WWE. Teamwork seamless. What do you think of this match?
Yeah, man, I thought this was pretty good. This was a great moment that if you've been watching, especially NXT over the last few years, great moment for Chance and Carter, man. They've been a good team, and for a while before the tag belts even existed, really like the only people who were consistently a team. So I definitely thought they were the most deserving team in this match, unless you were going to make TA 3-time champions for some reason, which wouldn't have made sense to me. But I thought every team in this match had moments to shine, or even if it wasn't that long. And the fact that Carter and Chance got a chance to got a chance. The fact that they got a chance to pin TA in this situation, finally get someone to pin them made it feel even better because we know the stranglehold that TA has had on those belts. So, yeah, man, this was good stuff from all the ladies involved, and I was very happy for Chance and Carter.
Yeah, and you could tell what it meant to him as well, which is really, really good to see. And then we said, Carmella Hayes said the first man to make to the ring would get an NXT North American Championship shot. Giovanni Vinci came his way to waltz to ringside, but Nathan skipped past. But the A champion won the match with a diving scissor kick. I mean, weirdly enough, I was talking about the Joe Gacy promo before, which was highlighted by the crowd singing to Mello "Happy Birthday," and we've heard this a few times. Where the crowd will just go, "Fuck this interview, let's talk about this." But the show of speed between Hayes and Fraser. I mean, I could watch 20 minutes of that.
Oh, I'm glad you said that because I wrote down that I left this match wanting more because I know if they were given like 20 minutes, this would have been even better, man. It was quick, but still somehow intense with like you said, the great athleticism. It was a sprint, honestly, but still fun. And of course the ending, and then I think involving Gio with the belt along with Nathan is only making my case for the North American title being the most interesting thing on NXT by far. A continued truth, because I think it really is the consistently the best spot of the night for the most part. Whenever Mello is involved with someone, and Frazier was no exception. I think me and you both know that for what Frazier can do, and man, we'll get to Axiom later, but how lucky is Axiom in Nathan Frazier?
Yeah.
So I'll leave it there.
Yeah, no, it's true. It is true. Right, that you're thinking, look, they're going to do that to Axiom, and then you're like, wow, lucky you got out. We see Wade Barrett facilitated, even difficult for me to say, the Heatwave Summit. The JD again talked with Bron Breakker, question if he was afraid. After demanding the NXT champion sign the match contract first, the Irish Ace cut himself and signed it with his own blood. I mean, it's the odd doctor gimmick for JD. And I don't know about you, but it looked like it really fucking hurt him because his hand was shaking. No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
I agree 100%. Like, I know that. I know as soon as the camera went off, as soon as he's backstage, he's like, holy man, that hurt like hell. It looked like it, but
oh, Jesus.
Whatever.
Jesus.
Besides the fact that it was completely unnecessary, whatever.
Yeah. And the crowd didn't know what to do with that either, did they? They're going, all right, great.
All right, whatever.
Yeah, cool. I mean, a video highlighting JD would not go amiss. Just to tell us what his motivations are rather than just being this weird, kinky man who just, like your muscles.
I like that, yeah.
Well, like that.
I was thinking, I was like, well, they're trying to make him come off as like kind of sadistic, right? But still, it's like, it'd be nice if you explained that going into it.
Just a little heads up, Mandy Rose beats Sarai. Afterwards, tries to use a steel chair on the Warrior of the Sun. Bit of a callback to the previous feud. Yeah. But Zoe Stark sent her running. Duke Hudson interrupted Axiom's interview. Broad for him in the ring. Planted with a spinning side slam. Axiom demanded a match. The big man accepted. And of course, Hudson got rolled up. The jury's out here for Axiom and for Hudson. Because you just...
I agree.
Week in, week out, it's just a fucking different, isn't it? NXT Championship match, tag team titles on the line. Creed Brothers versus D'Angelo family. Thanks for returning Santos Escobar. The Creeds retain. It is great to see Santos. There was a really weird suplex that Julius took as well in this match where I weren't sure what was going on. Gacy beat Brooks Jensen. I dislike both. Alba Fire hopefully put an end to Lash Legend. I mean, she called her spots right on the camera, and you can see her tell Lash to move now. You actually say, move. It's So it's not even
this
hard,
is I wrote down, I love Alba, but can we get this over with? Okay, that's it. That's all I can put down. Because I agree. It's just, yeah, man. Oh, man, lashes. I just green. That's the only thing we can say. Just whatever. Let's just. Hopefully that's it. Hopefully.
The only thing would help if they have to like socially distance and wear masks in the ring, because then you'll be able to do that without kind of just talk all the time. And then the main event, Falls Count Anywhere, Von Wagner, Solo, Sikoa. Von Wagner attempted to keep this match in the ring as long as possible. However, Solo pushed him out the arena to deal more damage. Finally, two battled back in the ring where the Street Champion splashed the big man through the announce table to get the win. And I tell you something, we've mentioned this in the past. I think this feud has actually helped both of these guys out in a weird way, and I didn't mind this at all.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that, because this is the first Von Wagner match I did not skip completely. So, that's a step up for me. This was a war, I have to say that. But I am petty, James. I'm sorry. I did write down Von Wagner was on my screen for way too long. But they went all out. I did right. At least they went all out. This was cool. So they went all out. I will never, down someone who went through a match like that, for my entertainment. So much as I don't like watching Von Wagner, I have to tip my invisible cap.
Well, the thing is, like you said, I could accuse Von Wagner of killing NXT UK, but I rose above it. You see, I rose above it. And again, I love like little things like the WWE dumpster playing a part again, going hello. How many times? It's like the guy
in that very cursed parking lot. By the way,
but the guy that put the WWE sticker on it, he's going. People laughed when I did back and paying off now. NXT booking did quite well, really. Solo did not hold back with that chair. August 9th, we start with a weird opener. Nikita Lyons beating Kiana James. And then we had Wesley versus Trick Willie in a rounds match. Or, as you and I confidently, we were a bit cocky when people were going, what's this rounds match? Well, actually, I think you'll find it's a Heritage Cup. We have, please, The first round was like boxing. Lee had his opponent trapped on the ropes just as time expired. The second round, Mello grabbed Lee's leg to set up Trick boot for the first pinfall. Lee got a pinfall in the fourth round with a crucifix. Trick responded by a cheap shot at his opponent with right hands. One round was picture-in-picture, which means I didn't get to see it, because as soon as they say that, we just get an advert. Hopefully it was good. But Wesley KO punched Williams and got the pin. After the A champion bragged about beating Nathan Fraser, Vinci interrupted to challenge the champ. And of course, the standard brawl broke out. What do you think of the Americans' attempt? I'm actually classing you as one of us, Monty. How weird is that? The Americans' attempt at Heritage Cup rules.
I put my honorary Brit hat on. You know what? I didn't mind it. The round that you missed, if I remember it right, I think that's when he got hit with the kick. But I don't know if you've seen it or not. He got hit with a kick after Wesley was distracted by Mello, and Trick kicked his head clean off. Man, I watched it on the network, so I was lucky enough to actually get a chance to see it. So I think that's what happened in the round that you missed, because I believe that's the round right before Wesley knocked him out, but I could be misremembering. But either way it goes, as someone who boxes from time to time, no boxing technique at all to start this match. But it was still fun to watch them, do their best rendition, and also listen to Vic make sure to remind us this is not boxing. This is a rounds match. It was creative, though. That's one thing I will say about this take on the Heritage Cup match. It was creative with doing completely different styles, wrestling in one round, going back to, doing the tricks. And I think at one point, Trick Williams had a loaded glove or whatever. So, I do think it was creative the way they did it. And then even with the knockout punch towards the end for Wesley, and for him to get some payback finally after pretty much being bullied for a while now, was this ended up being a really good time for me. So I didn't mind it. I don't know if I would put it on the level of some of those very, very competitive Heritage Cup matches that I enjoy. I've enjoyed over the last few months or so, but I didn't mind it. I thought this was a creative take on the concept.
Yeah, I think about that. Well, we get Arian Grace beating Thea Hale. This was bad. Apollo Crews beat Roderick Strong.
Her mannerisms are great, by the way. Might not be the wrestler, but her facial expression. I'm talking about Santino's daughter, Ariana. Yeah, that's cool. Go ahead.
Don't ruin it. The only reason she's on NXT television because she's Santino's daughter. I mean, we're trying to build up. You know,
I'm trying. Give her a break. You can't kill him immediately. Like I don't even know how many matches she's ever had. Give it a shot. Come on, man.
Okay, right. Well, Arian Grace beat Thea Hall. She tried, but it was bad. Apollo Crews beat Roderick Strong. That was good. You see the difference in the two Diamond Mine.
Look at what you compared.
Mine didn't have strong
and
back.
Ariana got like one match combined. You compare them to Roderick Strong and Crews.
Look,
that's all I'm saying. But that's fair. That's fair.
They needed time. They needed time for Tony D and Santos to sit down for what feels like the 200th time.
A billion times in 4 months.
How many dates? They are in a relationship. Like it's more than 8-10 dates now. They owe each other. But they have agreed that it's a street fight, and Santos lost. He would have to leave NXT, but Legado would be free if he won. Pretty Deadly beat Edris Sanofi and Manic Blade. Yes, boy. Lash Legend is now their associate. No, boy. And then the main event.
Oh, I thought you would have liked it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, this is a combination James would love.
It just makes all the sense in the world, doesn't it? You know, like you think about. It's Pretty Deadly models, like, yeah, someone who likes basketball to team with them makes all the sense.
Height, I guess? Is it height? That's what they have in common? Right, yeah, height. Let's go with height.
In the main event, Zoe Starks versus Cora Jade. Jade debated throughout the match if she used a metal pipe she brought with her to injure Zoe Stark, but Roxanne Perez grabbed her weapon, so to speak. Jade distracted Stark, caught her with a belly-to-belly GTS to win the show, ended with Perez running off Jade, while Stark laid out Rose with a belly-to-back G and stood tall with the NXT Women's Championship, almost guaranteeing she wouldn't walk away with the belt a week later. Again, everything was fine until she did that, you know? Like,
just picked it up. Yep.
But what can we do? And then we move on. Like we said, how quickly we've got through it. August 16th. It's NXT Heatwave, and the show begins with Paul Heyman narrating the video package with a card. Heyman's voice over the intro obviously fitting since he oversaw several Heatwave supercars in ECW during the late 90s. We then started with the NXT North American Championship, Carmella Hayes with Trick Williams versus Giovanna Vinci. Hayes found himself outmatched by the speed and power of Vinci, but Trick saved the A champion. After Vinci powerbomb Trick, Mello reversed another powerbomb attempt into the head scissors takedown for 3. Well, we knew this was going to be good, and it was.
Yeah, two of the best athletes in the world, man, just doing what they do. I was excited that this was even booked because I kind of, expected, a really great match, and that's exactly what they did. Incredible stuff from both. Vinci is very physical, and they're both athletic geniuses and just smooth, other than a few rough spots and less Trick. If you take out maybe the Trick finish or whatever with Trick Williams involved, this probably could have been a perfect opener, but this is still really, really good.
Yeah, Mello is the gift that keeps on giving, but I think Trick's interfering is wearing a little bit thin. Again, can't be as useless as De Familia, but it's just. The baby face, I know Vinci's not a face, but the face looks like an idiot if he shows up not realising it's going to be
expecting it, right, exactly. It was just kind of like with Toxic Attraction, too, whenever Mandy has them managing or vice versa, it was like, okay, come on, girl, someone has to understand that you need backup.
Yeah, nothing about that. And then we see Julius Creed call out Roderick Strong. But again, he said he watched a video. What the fuck was he talking about? Like, it's like a finger point and a what?
The week before that, when they showed the little clip and they were in the film room, I rewinded it myself like 3 times. What is he looking at? Like, I'm like, seriously, what is he looking at? Like, I saw the hand pat on the mat, but I wouldn't have connected that to Roderick Strong either. Like, he had me thinking Roderick Strong was justified. Like, what the hell are you looking at?
What's this? You know, and even like Brutus is like, hey, I quite like Roderick.
You sure?
Yeah, I saw this. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I got your back. Like, what is this?
I don't understand. But before anything could happen with a Diamond Mine, Gallus.
So thankful for this, by the way.
That's how Gallus hit the ring. Now, the NXT UK trio laid out everyone, including Strong, and stood tall over the NXT champions. There was a moment that like maybe Strong was pulling the strings, and then Wolfie let Mark and Joe know that there was a man left over. Of course, this happened 2 days before Black Thursday, as we're going to call it. So there's a lot of maybe confusion at the time. Obviously, by the end of the week, it made sense. But one of these things, and I think you even mentioned it earlier, the coffees have got a bit of size. You know, they're not the kind of like Dave Mastiff dwarf size. You know, like,
right. Right. Big boys, man. Some big boys. They stood up nicely, you know, with the creeds. And then also, you know, having that go on. I don't know about you. I don't know if you realized this, but I popped when Gallus showed out and laid them all out. Not just because I was happy to see them, but because it proves to me that Apollo Crews can see the future. I have no clue why or how, but he can see the future. He literally saw it a week before, all of them laid out. He was a little confused because no one else was there. But here we go, a week later. So we have it. It's canon now. Apollo Crews can see the future. He should be unbeatable, by the way.
I didn't even mention Apollo Crews' superpower. I can't believe. You're right. They're right. That's excellent callback. He really, really did. We'll move on to Cora Jade versus Roxanne Perez. Perez fought hard but found herself handicapped by her own morals. Perez could not use a black kendo stick against Cora Jade. Jade turned it around and DDT'd her to win. I guess the ref just turned a blind eye to it. And I thought also it was nice for Roxanne to rock a referee's outfit. This is where you're going to tell me she's like Timmy White's daughter. We didn't know the new Scott Armstrong's granddaughter.
I have no clue what the gear was. I have nothing for you. It was colorful, I guess, you know, different looking, but it was funny when she was doing her backstage interview before the match. The way it looked, it almost threw me off. Like, is she really about to wrestle? Because it didn't look like gear at first. But then I saw the entire get up. But you know, I think this match was at its best when it felt like the grudge match it was meant to be. So I didn't have a problem with the fire that Roxy showed, and I thought Cora Jade, you know, although I do think she needs to improve her heel work. I don't know how long she's been working heel. I know she's young, so it'll probably get better with time. But, you know, I thought she did a good job here in this case. And I thought the moral dilemma, while even though it made sense, I could swear, I don't know, James, maybe I'm wrong. I've seen this finish a million times, kind of cliche at this point. Babyfaces never learn that doing the right thing never works out in that situation. It reminded me of Bayley, except kind of reminded me of Bayley a few years ago with Alexa Bliss not wanting to use the kendo stick. At least this was supposed to not be a no disqualification match, unlike that match. So either way it goes, this was fine. But yeah, that finish, not my favorite, but it continues this because I'm pretty sure we'll probably get a stipulation match to blow this off down the line, probably.
Yeah, it has a smell of like street fight all over it, if you know what I mean. So, like I said,
definitely.
Then that, and then we see Gallus challenging Brooks and Jensen backstage to a title match for NXT UK Championship.
Anybody.
Looks like upset. But I tell you something, Monty, and again, I don't want to hark on about NXT UK, but again, spoilers for the end of this. Maybe I should save it for the end of it. But like, if Bate is champion, if who was the first UK champ, if Gallus can win, who are the longest reigning NXT UK tag team champions,
right?
And then if Dar can get the job done on Mark, meaning that we'll have the greatest Heritage Cup champion of all time ending.
Right.
We'll have the very first and very last UK champ and the longest reigning tag team champions to all wrap it up in a nice bow, rather than having.
I agree. I think that's the way to go, man. Honestly,
I can't have
when
Brooks
you put
and
it that
Jensen.
way.
I can't have Brooks and Jensen as the last champs.
No way. There's no way they should go in the Worlds Collide representing NXT UK, right?
No. I don't mind a unification match. Unification, Gallus.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The Creeds and Gallus unification. I think that's probably where we're heading. Yeah. That's probably the most likely outcome. And I'm wondering though, do you see is it like would they go Heritage Cup winner versus like North American? Would it be Mello and Noel? I'm down for that.
Oh,
I'll take it
in a rounds match.
Heritage Cup rules. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Heritage Cup rules. That's why I'm mad that Shaw's gone, because Shaw
and Trick would have been
corner men. Come on, man.
Damn it!
Sign them back just for that idea. You know what I'm saying? Please.
You're right.
Whatever. But we can fantasy book Worlds Collide, later.
Well, Apollo Crews wishes Bron Breakker luck ahead of his title match. Before leaving, looks at the NXT Championship belt. Breakker notices he does, but he's happy Crews didn't do any of his superhero shit to see what Breakker was doing next week. Bron's going, fuck it, don't touch me. Don't fucking touch me. I know what you're like. Tony D with Stacks versus Santos Escobar in an all-or-nothing street fight. And the old mask for the entrance. And what an entrance it was. And also, another thing about Santos that I love, he waits till he gets to the ring to take his entrance attire off. I'm saying, it's just simple but effective. Tony D, every trick he can manage, with caring little about taking out members of Legado. However, Santos went for his brass knuckles. The Don laid him out with a crowbar. I should actually go into explain it a little bit more, because it was an alright moment. Crowbar one side of the ring, brass knuckles the other, both men in the middle, realising they have to reach for the weapon, and as I call it, this is going to date me, the No Way Out 2000 and I think one finish between Triple H and Austin, where the heel hits him, but they falls on top of the
lands on top.
I'm sure there's more recent version of that, but I'm old. And just like that, the Don got the victory. Goodbye, Santos. I mean, what do you think of the match? And again, what do you think of Santos's NXT run?
Yeah, man, the match, seeing that this was a street fight, I believe it or not, I wasn't really, I told myself, I wrote down, I shouldn't be surprised by this result. But man, I thought this was a great way to cap off. I didn't say a great feud, but this is a great way to cap off this lengthy feud. It had its ups and downs because of that length, but I do think it had some high points, probably more than low points. But the finish, like you mentioned, the drama of it all and the race, and it being so close, coming down to who hit who first. Well done. I love the callback, like you said, with Triple H and Austin. It's just a nice spot. It's just well executed. And even though I do hate that this is the end of Legado del Fantasma as we know it, and now they'll probably, the rest of his crew will be part of the family from now on. Santos, to talk about his run, the Cruiserweight title run, probably the most relevant, especially if you got a chance to watch his Cruiserweight title. If you watch NXT, he made the Cruiserweight title relevant again for a while before, it was discontinued and all that, or, joined with the North American title. Whether he was a heel, and he was a heel most of the run, but I think towards the end here, as you saw, he definitely could get over as a cool babyface because of, like you said, the way he carries himself, the dedication to the character work. Honestly, I started to get behind him, I started to get behind him really good when I could tell when I started to notice how much pride played a factor into his character. Like, this one thing that we know about Santos Escobar in this feud, he even mentioned it in one of the many dates with Tony D. He is a very prideful man, and standing up for his legacy, his wrestling name, his father's name, his entire family, and having his La Familia, like I said, his presence. He was an incredible character. Even if I think he could have did bigger things, he could have been world champion. Honestly, I believe me and you both probably can agree that he could have been a great choice for NXT World Champion. But I do think him not winning the title, he was allowed to help others along in the North American title picture, in the Cruiserweight title picture. Cameron Grimes, Carmelo Hayes, a lot of stuff he was doing before he got involved with Tony D. He was able to help people along the way. Wow. Because I think for a while now, we can all see that he and maybe even with Legado behind him, I think we all can see that probably can work on the main roster if given the time to fester. But especially now without Vince being back there, because he is a smaller guy, that's pretty much my only apprehension, is that maybe he would get typecasted into the cruiserweight or to the mid card. But now the sky can be the limit because he can talk. He has a great presentation, and if he's going to be, Legado del Fantasma's version of Santos Escobar that we come to know on the main roster, it may not be completely the same, but if you give off that same like star power, attribute, because I think kind of like we mentioned this with Swerve in the past. Swerve gave off star, but I think Escobar was right there also with the potential to be a star. So I see big things for Escobar, no matter where he lands. Hopefully it's on Raw or SmackDown though, going forward, and I can't wait to see what he could possibly do down the line.
Well, it's weird. Just don't tell him hit row on SmackDown because it will start all over again.
Right.
But like you said with Santos, it's a fantastic run, and I compared him when he first joined, like someone like Andrade, who wasn't around NXT as long as Santos was, but was given more title opportunities. Say even the NXT champion, and I just think Santos could have. Like we talk about as well with the cruiserweights, going from a junior heavyweight or a cruiserweight up to a heavyweight contender. I would have been quite happy cruiserweight to North America NXT champion. Because like you said, the crowd, I don't think there's anybody else, when we look at Superstars on 2.0, I don't think there was more loved than Santos, and I'm even putting like Cameron Grimes in there. Yeah. I think the way Legado, and it was like natural. It wasn't forced down our throats. It was just they performed every week. And like I said, with Santos, with his facials, even in this matchup, the look when he sees the members getting taken out of ringside, and he starts kind of losing his shit. It's just like I said, excellent storytelling. And it's weird. Do you think they'll wait and debut him with Legado, or do you think they'll give him like a couple of matches by himself, or which way do you think they might do it? I'm hoping he's going to the main roster. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I agree. We're both. I think that has to be right. That has to be the end goal here, because I don't see a reason to get rid of him from NXT if you do not have those aspirations to get him on the main roster. I think we're probably more likely to get him probably alone at first, because it seemed like they want to keep the rest of Legado down. Honestly, I think maybe outside of Elektra, even though her character work, her presence is fine. As far as in the ring, she definitely needs to be in NXT. But other than that, Del Toro and Joaquin, I think, would be a great fit along with him to give him that presence that we all kind of fell for. I wouldn't mind it, especially if he's going to be continuing his legacy. Or they could just go with the stereotypical route they tend to go with a lot of the Latin greats and just throw him in a few with Rey Mysterio randomly. Yeah, have him attack Rey or something
from behind
out of nowhere. Yeah, and it'll be great matches, but that's probably something we'll see down the line maybe. But I probably see him alone instead of with the crew. But I would love it if they would, debut him with Legado.
Yeah, the only thing about this match as well that maybe could have had a little saying, again, I like the finish, but if Lopez had helped Tony D get the win.
Yeah,
and
Tony D, right.
The way they've been interacting recently, even with Tony D kind of liking Elektra and, she's good at part of the group, and then being like, oh, yeah, But again, you don't want to split them up if you're together on the main roster. Speaking of splitting up and putting back together, Indy Hartwell was backstage when she's given artwork from Dexter Lumis, but Blair Davenport snatches the artwork and rips it up, and she declares she will be the next NXT Women's Champion. I thought you were going to be the next NXT UK Women's fucking Champion. Again, right. Davenport it's difficult. It's like Ireland, there's some talented women, but is Davenport the right one to put in this position right now? We don't know what the end game is, do we?
No, we don't. Specifically off that injury, because I think we both mentioned that she seemed like she needed to get some more reps under her belt after doing something, like that to her. I think was it her ankle or knee, but either way it go, after that injury. So I definitely understand that, but I do think because of her work in other areas and because she is a veteran, that I think seeing her and maybe even more of those NXT UK faces would only help this women's division, because we talk about it's really a steep drop off after, like, the main suspects of the women's division that we know about. Like, yeah, they're starting to show more and more faces sparingly off and on, like like we mentioned Ariane, we mentioned James. We know how they feel about Nikita Lyons. So they do have other people that they're focusing on, but I do think me and you both agree that Blair, Isla, maybe some of these other characters that we've started to see in the women's division. I told you already how I feel about Jenny. Hell, they don't even got to bring her to NXT. She can go straight to the main roster. Jenny's ready, in my opinion. But I don't mind this though, because I feel like in this women's division, and I'm just begging for somebody to take the belt off Mandy Rose. So I wouldn't mind it if it was Blair, but honestly, I would, I want us to lean more on Alba Fire too. I think she's been here. She's another person that can be leaned on a little bit more going forward towards Mandy Rose's title. So it's a lot. But I did love this segment. It was shocking, but it was still, I thought, well executed. Even the Loomis thing with Indy, I love that they even thought to do that, because he's been doing a while, doing his thing on the main roster now. So they're even doing that, I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, I don't mind this for Blair. We'll see how they choose to go about it, because honestly, she's still a heel, so I don't know if she'll be challenging Mandy anytime soon, unless she's going to be completely different going forward. But she's targeting Indy, so it leads me to believe she's going to be more of what we were seeing her do in UK. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it turns out.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. Well, we get a hype video announcing on our next update. It will be Wendy Chu versus Tiffany Stratton in a lights out match. Little shot AEW there. And then Mandy Rose defended the NXT Women's Championship against Zoe Stark, targeting the attack on the knee, including ripping off the brace. Well, Stark managed to kick out the first bicycle knee, becoming the first woman to do so in NXT. Rose put the knees brace on before twatting Zoe Stark.
Right.
I thought it was quite a well-worked match. I will have to mention, Monty, that Rose will obviously have to do something about a top, because Twitter nearly exploded and BT cut out in the UK those scenes of a sexual nature. What did you think of the match, I will say?
I was about to say, not the scenes. Okay, thank
not
goodness.
The scenes, no.
Thank goodness. Oh, yeah. Mandy, oh, man, now I hate to read my line here, but I said Mandy looked good here, especially for her standards. But I mean in the ring, guys, she was really good here. At least she seemed to be taking this seriously, especially, like, based on her standards. I thought, like, sometimes she's okay, but like, I think maybe it's a motivation thing, or maybe, again, it depends on the opponent. But I thought she did a really good job here. And honestly, though, as the match went on and all that, and like you said, Zoe sold her ass off really well. I was really bummed that she couldn't pull it off, because I really thought it was a good opportunity to give us a fresh women's champion. I thought that it would have been a nice job, especially with the comeback story. But like you mentioned, she did perform the Challenger Kiss of Death the week before, so I can't say I was too surprised And again, kind of like with Gradwell earlier, I love the knee brace idea. Man, I love it.
Well, the thing is as well about Mandy Rose, and we talk about kind of next in line and what's to do, and there's no doubt Mandy Rose has nearly completed this NXT game. But for me, for her to really do that, she'll need to beat the final boss. And I just cannot.
Man, I'll be so mad. I'm not gonna lie. I would be genuinely hurt if she beat Baker. It's just like, hey, by the way, I found out I'm a little territorial over the women's division when it comes to NXT. Because she was like, bye-bye, Paige. And I was like, oh, don't tell me she done passed all of these greats in days. I was like, please, just don't let her come close to Oscar. I'm so happy Oscar is far away. I'm so happy hers is so far away.
Oh, my God. And then...
But, yeah. There you go.
Well, that was what I was saying. And then another weird, interesting promo. Quincy Elliott proclaimed himself super deep. Monty, what is this?
All I have to tell you is, if you ever watch it, if you ever heard it, the only thing I've even seen from NXT Level Up was a viral video of, I think, this guy twerking by the ring post. So that's the only thing I got for you. I have nothing else for you. That's all I got, okay? And we'll see.
Yeah. He's even going to be our favourite wrestler of all time.
Yes, exactly. This could go so well, or it could be the worst idea ever. So we have to wait.
We're going to see what happens. Well, the main event of Heatwave, the NXT Championship, Bron Breakker versus Jordan Devlin. I'm still not going to call him McDonough yet. Bron Breakker overcame serious neck pain and resilient JD to rise above his challenger. He hit him with 2 spears, and then JD picked himself up, and there's blood from his mouth. He let himself just for some reason. He looked fine on that third time he got up as well. Like, he was all right. Just spear me. I want to lose for some reason. And then the military press power slam to win. And then, after it was finished, NXT UK champion. What? Tyler Bate? No. We've just started this trophy. We just started this tournament. How can he? Kenny Williams has not even faced him yet, and yet he's walking out.
Spoiler alert.
The thing is, Vic Joseph is going like, "Oh, look at Bron and Tyler looking at each other. That's Worlds Collide," and it's like, "Fucking hell, come on, just can't you do a little bit better than that?" And Bate looked as surprised as anybody else. Just go out and Bate.
I agree.
Okay. Oh, hi guys.
Yes, he was smiling and everything, and I was just like, Tyler didn't even know. It's like, did they just do this? Like, you understand how confused I was when I first saw it. I was like, what the hell? Like, I did not miss this. Are you telling me that they finished the 8-man tournament in one night or something? Like, what's going on? I could have sworn that he didn't even have his match. I think he didn't even have his match, his first round match.
Not even through the first round. And they gave him the title.
Yeah, he beat Kenny so bad. They was like, you can have it.
It's unbelievable. Tyler fucking Bate. I mean, like we said, it's great to see him. A lot of people are like, huh? And we'd just be like, don't you know who that is? That's Tyler Bate, like former NXT UK champion. Like, he's a really good wrestler. You've not seen him wrestle? Oh, you really should. So what did you think of? What do you think of Devlin's performance? And what do you think of Bates' chances versus Breakker?
See now, all right. So those are two different. All right, so I'm gonna get the first one out the way first. Like, his performance was really good. I really thought this was a good showcase of what he can do. Showcase of both guys, really. But honestly, I will say this too. I may have had his wars with Dragunov on my mind because I definitely was like, they could go up another notch. I know he definitely can, but this was nothing bad. Maybe something was missing to me just a little bit. It didn't resonate with me as much, but I honestly still thought the match was a good main event. I didn't have a problem with it. The way it finished was, like you mentioned, was fine and everything. And even though it kind of was predictable, even though I think I came into it hoping for more, maybe I just placed a little bit too much too high of expectations. Like I said, maybe I was thinking about if Dragunov was his opponent again or something, but this was definitely still a good showcase of what JD or what Jordan Devlin has to offer and what he, even if I think he can go like a step higher. And then as far as Tyler Bates' chances, like I'm genuinely shocked. I'm happy to see him. I didn't mind it because that result, but I was bummed because of where I was at in the tournament. I was like, well, it's funny that you mentioned earlier that you wanted 7 to complete the to complete it. Well, I guess you got that spoiled a little prematurely for you. But other than that, Bates' chances against Braun, that I don't really have the highest hopes of Bates winning it, even though he is a fresh champion, and I wouldn't mind it. Would they do that? Would they have Bates standing tall at the end of Worlds Collide? I don't know. I just think you're more likely to see Braun Breaker holding both belts, and it being no more NXT UK. When it comes to that. But I don't know. I'm hoping I'm wrong because I know what Bates can do, and I know it'll be really, really fun to see the strong boy show it off against the NXT champion. But I don't know. I don't have the highest hopes.
I will lose a point right now, and I will say Bates beats Breaker. I'm going for it. Even when it happens,
okay,
you can't turn against me. I mean,
I remember.
You remember? And I'll be like, no, I fucking didn't. What are you talking about? But I believe we need Saint, goddammit. And Tyler Bate winning would be good for everyone. But saying that, though, I'll tell you what was good for Heatwave. We'll talk about overall in a minute. It got 723,000 viewers, which was up 21% from the previous week, and is the highest viewership number since Halloween Havoc in 2021. So it shows, with the big shows, it is working. But like you said, for now, the question is, Monty, I mean, what are your thoughts on Heatwave? But what are your thoughts for NXT in these next couple of months? Because there's going to be some huge changes. We've got all this UK talent coming in. Will they stick around? Will they actually make an impact?
Right.
Where we could be in a completely different place, especially if, like, Breaker and Mello and, obviously Santos now are all going to get called up to the main roster. Then there's a chasm filled by UK talent.
I didn't finish the most recent episode of SmackDown, but Toxic Attraction were on there. And we've already seen even though I know they're probably in need of bodies when it comes to the tag team title tournament with Zoe Stark and Nikita. So, again, you're right. This could be a completely different landscape just in a few months from now. I can see plenty, like we mentioned, I think Cameron Grimes is main roster worthy. But, again, we'll see. Will that happen? It's plenty of people. Everybody's been talking about fast-tracking Braun. Everybody's been talking about fast-tracking Solo maybe. So, it's a lot of stuff, and then when you have all of this new talent coming in and possible talent that could be debuting soon or, whatever, and then you always have the possibility of people like in the Apollo Crews position coming back down to NXT or Mandy Rose. I think sooner than later we may get Mandy Rose back on the main roster. I think something like that could happen, especially if she loses it sooner than later, of course, loses the title. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see exactly, but I think it's an optimistic time, honestly, especially when you talk about that viewership rating in 2.0 and just like how shocking especially with these new changes to creative on top and and just having a lot of different things going on. I think it's an exciting time, and maybe going forward, depending on the decisions that they make and with the implementation of the NXT UK roster, 2.0 might be in some of maybe in the best shape that we've seen it in, but we'll see. We'll have to see how long, who's here to stay, who's gonna get even less TV time, who's gonna get more. So, I can't wait to see how it all shakes out because it's gonna definitely be some big changes, and I'm already excited to see what kind of card we end up with Worlds Collide because again, I've watched Worlds Collide in the past, but at that time I really was only familiar with the NXT side. And I was kind of being introduced to some of the NXT UK guys back in the day. So now looking at it and kind of having a vantage point of the major players on both sides, I'm really invested to see how they give NXT UK its final, swan song, so to speak. So yeah, I don't know. I'm actually kind of optimistic. Hope, depending on how things shake out. But I think we definitely got more depth in more divisions now, in both divisions now. So that's a positive. So we'll just have to see how things shake out. But I think they're in a good spot.
Yeah, I think we're at that. And like you said, I can't take credit for it. Someone did say about Wales Collide as well, because it's going to happen the same weekend as All Out and Clash at the Castle. And they said that their hope would be, after all these big events that we're talking about, NXT UK stealing the show at Wales Collide, which, with the talent involved,
right,
can definitely do. And like I said, it's a very interesting time to see what's come up. But again, if it was Vince McMahon releasing British talent 2 weeks before the British pay-per-view, I think maybe it would have been, handled a little bit differently. So I think interesting times ahead to see kind of where we go. But as we know, this is the kind of last penultimate NXT update featuring UK. So not only are we going to see NXT 2.0 change, but obviously our updates will change as well. But that is it. Like I said, we've got quite deep in this one. Don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast, I'm at WNRJR. You find the WNR team on the Twitter banner. Or Monty, where people find and listen to you?
At Mind Monty Pod, Monty with a Y, Pod, MindMontyPod. Find me on Twitter. You can click the link in my bio, or you can go on YouTube and type in Mind of Monty. You can look at my latest clips, my newest episode on me giving a recap of basically my thoughts on the G1 as I saw it. Will be coming. I'm taking my time with it because I do want to enjoy it myself as a fan, even though I already know the results. It's all good. Come check it out, though. Click the link in my bio. Go to YouTube, and I appreciate the support.
All right, that's open also on Facebook and Instagram, across all Google platforms. Send us an email at WNRPodcast@gmail.com, YouTube, WNR Podcast, with all the latest clips. Podcast got saved to on YouTube, to SoundCloud, on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes. Make it download, subscribe, rate, and review there. And if you want to hear more of Monty talking about the G1 climax, well, boy, have we got it for you, because next Saturday, the entire WNR team will be here. Jaxie, Gina, Monty, and myself, as we look at, for the first time ever, the G1 Climax 32. And like I said, there's going to be so much to kind of dissect and look at. But I'm really looking forward to it, especially like the news of the day. As one door shuts, they say, another one opens. So with what I'm missing out on NXT UK, hopefully New Japan with Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay can fill that for me as well, So it should be a good show.
I agree. It's me getting a chance to, kind of like what you do here with me. You allow me to get a chance to talk about your baby in NXT UK. Well, this is me opening up the door, the forbidden door once again, or, however you want to look at it. And I'm just so happy that not only you, but we get Jaxie, we get Gina, we get all here who they all seem to be enjoying everything the G1 has to offer. So I'm just happy that I get to share this. Just like you mentioned earlier, it proves to me, okay, I'm not the only one who thinks this is awesome. So I'm ready to do it.
Excellent. Well, we will be ready. But until then, I'm James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastic mind of Monty. And again, Monty, it's always a pleasure to an update, and it's good that it's counselling. I had to do Impact by myself last week. I couldn't have done NXT UK by myself this week. I needed that emotional support, so thank you very much.
No way, no problem. Anytime.
And thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.